Hey, good Sunday evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of TSP, the Scuttlebutt Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special episode. Um, as I don't know if you know or not, but you should know, today is National Purple Heart Day. So I put out a word a couple of months ago that I would like to have a panel of Purple Heart recipients to come on and tell their stories. And so if you're a civilian and you're watching, a Purple Heart is given to you if you were wounded by enemy hands. So everybody on this panel is a Purple Heart recipient except for I.
Except for
So
you, sir.
I'll be sitting back and just enjoying the stories.
Er,
If you new to this show, please go back and watch some of our other shows. We had some great guests lately. We had a man that punched out going 695 miles an hour. Lived to tell about it. We've had other Top Gun pilots. We've had Uncle Si. We've had a lot of these guys on the panel. Jeffrey Sabins is our show sponsor with Proven Valor. Thank you, sir, and welcome.
thank you, Gunny.
No worries, no worries.
So I guess we're going to just do a round robin. So we're not talking over each other. I'll just call on you, and you could just introduce yourself, talk about your, what branch of service you're in, and how you earned the coveted Purple Heart. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good.
Fantastic, sir.
All right. I'm just going to go from left to right the way I see it. And looks like Jeffrey Sabins, you're up first. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for coming on. And thank you for your service. Thank all you guys for your service.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Yes. Yes. I'm just curious, where do you want to start? Do you want to start from the beginning? You just want to talk about your wounds? How do you want to do it? The show's all yours right now.
Shoot, man, the show's all yours. What do you want us to do?
Let's talk about that Purple Heart, man.
Yeah.
What
Let's hear
branch
about
were
the
you
Purple
in?
Heart.
Yeah,
On the,
so I was in the Marine Corps. I just retired August 2021. Came in, was with 3-8 with old chaps there. And then let's see. So I did a pump the Karma Fallujah thing here at the beginning. A lot of lessons learned, and then we hit up Old Ramadi. So for me, it was all kind of recorded for us, right? Because we had a Newsweek reporter just happened to show up and wanted to ride in our trucks with us that day. So we went down Old 20th Street, wanted to give them a show, and boy, we gave them a show. So let's see, that day, July 22nd, we were going down 20th Street. First truck got hit by an IED, and then that's Dustin Gross and Staff Sergeant Winship with Doc Coyle out there, and they got that famous picture that was on Newsweek, and Jocko has, and everyone uses that famous picture of him screaming and shouting down the road there. So truck one got hit by an IED. Of course, we fan out and we start to provide security, and then it's just hell all around us, right? So Brian Pop was in my truck. I was returning fire with a 50 cal. I was actually about to for the one and only time in my career to run out of ammo there. So I was returning fire, and then oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. The CO came up and said, "Hey, Sabins, jump on the radio real quick while I figure out what's going down there." And as soon as I put my head down in the truck to grab the handset there, a sniper got around through my Kevlar through and through, hit through the front, went around the back, punched out the back of it, and then obviously people thought the worst of it, right? So a couple hours later, I flew out for a couple of days with some brain swelling, just kind of watching how things are going. Then I flew back to Ramadi and finished out the deployment with them. Did a stint to Marja 2010-11 with 3-9. Got to end my career 19 with a great combined joint task force trip to Somalia. That was an awesome time. But yeah, it's just there it is in a nutshell, short and sweet.
Yeah. So make a long story short, you were literally shot in the head.
I was shot in the Kevlar. I don't
Kevlar.
Let's not call things what they are,
come on, man. Take it for what it's worth, dude. Come on. You got shot in the head.
You got shot in the head, man. I've heard this story before. You were on the show few months back, and I'm still like, I can't believe he got shot in the head.
Yeah, man. If you look, so Ramadi was when the new trucks came, like we just started getting the up armored trucks, right? So if you look at the turret, there's like the turret shield, then there's the walls around you, right? And then there's I don't know, Andrew, what is it, like 2-inch bar?
Yeah.
And in between the bar and the truck, there's literally like half an inch, right? I mean, it's nothing. And kudos to that sniper, man. He got that round right through between that bar and that truck, a half-inch gap there to get me when I put my head down. So I hope Chris Kyle and them got that son of a gun.
The devil of Ramadi.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out to our listeners right now, when you're listening to these stories, I just want you to take note of these guys downplaying their injuries. I think every single one of you guys that I've talked to, you always downplay it. Earl Budd was on our show a couple weeks ago, and he downplayed his. I know Chaps downplays his. Like, I think that's speaks volumes about you guys, but I just want you guys to pick up on these small things. Combat Chaps.
Sir. Okay, routine patrol at night. We were taking down the Ramadi Bank. You know, it was 2nd platoon, 2nd squad. You know, we go in and we clear like 3 floors. We come back down. And there's this gaping hole like in the lobby, and so they see us. You know, it's kind of like dusk, like just getting to like evening time. I think it was it was like the night of, right, Jeff? You got it in the morning. I got it that night, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so like they shot an RPG, and we all got peppered. Like me, Zach Switzer, Carl Golian, and Kenneth Ward. We all got peppered with shrapnel. I got it in my foot. The Switzer got it in his ass. Golian got it peppered up his feet, and Kenneth Ward got it peppered up all the way his back. So he had to go out to Balad. They had to, you know, get him out there because it was pretty bad for him. My wounds were, I mean, I had a piece of shrapnel like that big in my foot, and we called for a corpsman. I'm bleeding. I looked down at my foot after, you know, doing all this stuff. I'm like, hey, I'm bleeding. Corpsman up. And so the corpsman got me, put me in the back of this truck, and like all hell. I don't know what that was. What was that? That sounded like what I'm about to tell you about. Because I was looking up, and I was on my back, and like going to Charlie Med, and it was like Star Wars. I mean, there were red tracers everywhere. I mean, they just unleashed hell on the Gay Palace, and it was the Gay Palace is what we call the biggest structure in Ramadi. It was like 7 stories, Jeff.
Yep. 7-story building. Yep.
And we called it the Gay Palace, and they just lit it up, and I was just watching all these things going by. And so I go to Charlie Med, and the Navy doctor say, oh yeah, it'll just come out in the shower. This piece of metal that's lodged in my foot. I was like, okay. So I get 3 days off. I get a 3-day chit, not to do patrols or not to do post. And we're down people. So they're like, Far, you're getting back on post. I'm like, I have a chit. I don't have to go. They're like, yeah, you're going. And so, you know, we fast forward like 10 years go by. The piece of metal is still in my foot. So I go to the VA and I have it removed, and I used to carry it around in a little plastic jar, and I would open it up and show people, but I let oxygen in, and it killed the piece of shrapnel. So yeah, that's my story. It hurt like hell getting it. But yeah, that was it. And Ramadi was horrible. It sucked. It was the worst place I'd ever been.
I've heard.
We lost 17 guys that summer.
Man, God bless them. So if you're new to the show, Combat Chaps is also a co-host of the show. So thank you for joining along there, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And thanks to Proven Valor Professionals.
Yes.
If you need any help, talk to Gunny Sabins of Proven Valor Professionals. And that's my plug for the evening, and that's it. I'm sorry, Gunny. That's it. That's all you get.
I was gonna say, man, when's my plug coming?
I know.
Hey, we usually play your little your video, but Facebook and YouTube strip the sound out of it because we don't. They're like, you don't own that music. They strip it, so it's just a video playing with no sound.
Yeah, just let me know next month that you don't get paid.
Yeah, we should.
Hey, our next guest actually lives in my hometown. I've never actually met him face to face, but we have the same circle of veteran friends. So I reached out to Evan, who lives in Dearborn, Michigan, my hometown. Evan, how you doing, buddy?
Good. So just like the other guys, I'm a Marine. I was finally medically retired. I'm rounding up to about 17 years so in 2018. During my 5th deployment is actually when I was hit. I'm originally an Arty guy, so an 0811. But I've done a lot of other things, a lot of infantry stuff as well. So a lot of the guys here can probably, when they run out of grunts, they go call on Arty. So it's this fancy term, provisional rifle company. So I've done a lot of that in my career and whatnot. So kind of fast forward and everything else. So it was my 5th deployment, and we were headed out to lovely Afghanistan. I'd done 2 previously in Iraq. We were 2.5 weeks over there. We were so pretty much new over there that our bomb dogs hadn't even shown up yet or anything else like that. So we were down around Fiddler's Green, the FOB out there. So it was kind of on the outskirts of Marja, out around there and whatnot, and everything else there. So we got called off on a QRF to go assist our sister section of our battery, who was out kind of doing more, winning the hearts and minds stuff at like the villages. And one of the village elders came and said, hey, there's a bunch of IDs that are placed and whatnot. So my role was essentially to take 4 trucks and go support the LT to go out, who was going to go basically do a ground sweep for all these IDs in the area. And I was going to have 2 trucks in front and 2 trucks in the rear of the giant flying V, so all the guys could basically keep their eyes on like the deck. And I was the second Vic out there. The front Vic had a mine roller on it and whatnot. So we did that one day. We didn't hit all the ground because obviously it was pretty slow moving. We basically laid our heads down that night at the FOB Mahaf East, they called it. We woke up the next morning and we were going to head back out. And I kind of woke up, and I'm sure you guys have been in a few gunfights, kind of know, like, your spidey senses kind of start going off, like things are not going to be good today. And I'd been in a few rodeos, so I was like, just today doesn't feel good. So we went out, and if you picture kind of rolling hills and whatnot, that's kind of what we were rolling into in the open desert. And so basically, I mean, as soon as the guys were walking up, I basically was running pretty short and on each of the trucks. So a driver, the vehicle commander riding shotgun, and then someone up in like the turret. So I happen to have my assistant DMR up in the turret in my truck, who had the M14 up there. And so we pretty much sit there, and when all the people would walk up, they give us a green light and, all right, move forward. It was basically like you were in like a traffic jam, just sitting there. And we saw a tiny little ville, basically a cluster of homes out there. And what caught my attention was I saw a glisten of glass. So someone was scoping in on us of something, right? And then my DMR spotted it. And it appeared someone had a video camera, which you don't see a lot of in Afghanistan. So I was like, this is like not good, right? And then there's 2 other guys there. They're acting shady in the bushes. So there was basically 3 rolling hills from what I, recall. And in between hill 2 and 3 or 1 and 2, as we're rolling forward, that's my truck right there. So, my vehicle, the EOD tech said we probably went about, 6 inches outside the tracks of the vehicle in front of me. When we hit it, it basically sounded like a water bottle going off. So if you step on a water bottle with air, I remember my head hitting the ceiling. And then from there, I thought I just flinched. And I remember us being airborne. So the crater of the hole was actually in the rear driver's side tire. So the rear driver's side tire, when you're looking at this vehicle, was there. And I was riding shotgun. I remember looking at blue sky and being pissed because this is now like my 5th deployment. And I'm said to myself, because obviously you guys would know this, HME is made out of fertilizer, and that's what they use. So I literally said to myself, I'm like, I can't believe I just got blown up by cow shit after all these years, like, and all this. So then we hit, and then I thought I flinched. When I came to, there was dust all inside the cab. There was an alarm going off. I had the guys kill the engine for any secondary fires because I didn't know. One glove was off my hand. My iPro was off, and I was pretty disoriented. My first thing was trying to find the radio handset to make sure it still worked, which it did. The Blue Force tracker, which is that GPS screen in front of me, was completely out. So I did notice my vision was pretty jacked up. So I remember basically kind of being on autopilot. I remember my gunner being hurt the worst, and I thought he broke his arm. Thank God he had his harness on, because if he didn't, he probably would have been ejected out of the turret. But when he came up, basically the harness caught him and he slammed down and he landed on his shoulder. So I don't know if he broke his arm, his dislocated his shoulder, or anything. So that was my main concern. Eventually, I called in a medevac for all of us, which apparently I was completely out of it, and I was not unkeying the mic, and I was being pissed about calling in a medevac because we were all good and everything else. So, and then we just sat there and waited, because obviously they had to go sweep for secondary IEDs, and then they pulled us all out of the truck and they walked us. If you look at the picture behind that hill behind there, and there's a mine, or there was a little well building, and that picture was probably taken about 5 or 10 minutes afterwards. I didn't happen to have a camera, and I was just like, I don't know, it was autopilot. I was like, go take pictures for evidence for the EOD text, right? And so we were still sitting inside the vehicle at that point. So once we get back to the casualty collection point, my stubborn behind, I decided to post security and not go sit down and argue with Doc. So I'm doing that. And then as I'm posting security, I noticed something in my cargo pocket, which I never keep anything in there. And I was like, what the hell's in my cargo pocket? And I reach down and I pull out a yellow jacket, an HADP. And I'm like, why the hell is this here? And I look down at my plate carrier and there's an empty pouch. So one of these younger guys walks up to me, goes, hey, do you not, remember what happened? And I'm like, remember what? And he's like, when you get out of the truck, you were loading that. And I'm like, what? And then I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, I grabbed it out of your hand, and I put it in your cargo pocket, and I chicken winged you under the arm, and I helped you walk the whole way over here. I'm like, what? And he's like, do you not remember like mortars being shot off like way in the distance? I'm like, no. So then the doc came over and finally was like, take off your iPro. My pupils were blown. And he's like, look, I'm like, Doc, I'm fine. He's like, go sit down with the other guys. This is like their first rodeo. He was basically playing, like messing with my head. So I go sit down, and my other two guys finally tell me, they're like, hey, we thought you were dead. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, as soon as we hit, they were like, hey, you good? I'm good. Yeah. And then I was slunched over. And then they were like, call me by my rank, my last name, my first name. And finally, my gunner asked me if he wanted me to pop pyro, which is one of our SOPs, to pop a red star cluster. And I came to. It was like a reset button on the Xbox, and I said, yeah. And I remember that going off. So what I thought was me flinching in a car accident was about a minute or 2 minutes. And if you guys have been in any of these armored vehicles, there's radio mounts in between me and the driver. So the left side of my face is actually what hit that, and that's what knocked me out. So I've got cranial nerve damage, along with a lot of other things to the left side of my face. So the decision was made thank God, I was the worst out of everybody in the truck. They flew me out. They put me on 2 weeks light duty, Motrin and change your socks and whatnot. So they flew me out, and they said I was good. Some abrasions on my face and stuff like that, but nothing major. And then I went back to doing stuff outside the wire. And then I was asked to stay inside the wire and actually do my normal job, which I was stoked about because I was tired of being shot at and blown up, and I could actually go do my real job, which is supporting grunts and, firing a 155 and doing some landscaping out there, so to speak. So I got a green light to stay inside the base, and I was asked by the battalion CO, which I thought was a blessing. But little did I know, because they just told me I had a grade 3 concussion, so I associated it playing with combat sports, that I really had a traumatic brain injury, which takes 9 months to a year to heal, or 9 months to a year to heal. So firing the cannon, 40 plus times, the 2 highest powder charges, was basically re-injuring my brain. And I had an incident which they describe as a stroke or something in the middle of the night, about 3.5 months over there. And then I was medevaced again to Camp Leatherneck, Bastion. And then from there, I was sent out to Germany. And that's kind of where the whole process started of me having to kind of, learn how to walk and talk all over again. My speech was all jacked up and things like that. So, yeah. So that's kind of my story. It was a little bit longer than everyone else's, but it's a little more complicated.
Yeah.
There's a lot more details to it, but that's that. So.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible story. Did everyone survive that?
Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, I was the worst out of
amazing.
everybody in the blast, which is like a blessing. So, out of all my guys, out of the whole time we were over there, we didn't lose anybody, which we lost enough out of my other ones. So at least in my group of guys I was in charge of, that was like my goal. Everyone was going to come home. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, thank you, Mr. Bud.
Hey, bro.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on? Nothing. Evan, who were you with at the time?
I was with 111 Bravo Battery.
111 Bravo Battery. All right. I just wanted to know. I used to be the sergeant major at 311 back in the day, so
I was with 311 Lima way back in the day. That's where I started off at. So
29 Palms. It's a great place.
It is a great place for a training sergeant major.
No, it's not. It sucks. 29 Palms.
No. For Artie, back in the day, we would go roll out, man, and shoot. And if he had a good CO, we would come right back. But I never saw Wilson the whole time I was stationed out there until I was at Pendleton.
Yeah, Jeff and I, we saw lots of Wilson, and we both hate it equally.
And I will tell you, when I was with 111, and we were convoying from Camp Pendleton up there, and we started driving up that grade, and I started getting nauseous, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go here. But so
what's funny is you say 311, you never stayed at Wilson. When I was a sergeant major there, the battalion commander had this grand idea: we're all going to stay at Wilson.
I'm sorry,
like, Sir, we are stationed in 29 Palms. He's like, it'll be good for morale. I'm like, yeah, you're sure. You're right. All right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Roger that.
Roger that.
All right. You're still active duty, correct?
Yes, I am still active duty. Right now I have 27 years in the Marine Corps. I'm going to finish out my last 3 at Combat Logistics Regiment 17. The good thing about that is only 15 minutes away from my house here in Fallbrook, California. Okay. So I don't have to drive very far. And then it's off into the sunset. Maybe I'll hit up Jeff and maybe he can point me in the right direction on how to get a job afterwards.
Let's go. Let's get after it.
He does a good job.
Aubrey should be here in like 5 minutes, so we'll start talking.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
First thing I want to say is I want to say happy birthday to my father-in-law. He's like my second dad. Today is his 75th birthday. So he is 3/4 of a century old. My wife is actually standing at the top of the stairs, smiling at me. So this month, the month of August, has a special and horrific meaning for me. So 18 years ago, this weekend is when we started off about 28 days of fighting in 2004 in the city of Najaf, Iraq. So, I mean, we went to bed one night, woke up the next morning. They said we needed to reinforce a police compound. And I was like, what the fuck? All right, let's go do this. So we go over there. I apologize for cursing.
Oh, you can. Say what you want.
We get over to the Revolutionary Circle. And as our trucks are moving up to it, I noticed that there was nobody on the street. There's nobody on the street except for reporters. Al Jazeera is out there. And I was like, that's fucking weird. So as soon as we dismounted the trucks, we started walking. And all of a sudden, as soon as we turned the corner, boom, rounds started coming at us. And I was like, are these fuckers shooting at us for real? And then for about 27 days afterwards, it was just everyday constant fighting. But the day that I was blown up was 25 August 2004. We had been in the old city in Najaf doing our final push into the old city. I was a weapons platoon sergeant with Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. And I had been running around from position to position because I had weapons platoon. So my machine gunners were spread out. I was checking on them. As I was coming back to our main little CP that we had for the headquarters element, My company first sergeant at the time is Sergeant Major Justin LaHue. He was standing outside next to a Humvee. I was standing there and I was just talking to him, and I was standing at the front of the Humvee, right on the front corner on the driver's side, had my rifle laying across the roof of the Humvee. And as I'm talking to him, a mortar round lands probably about 25 meters away from us, but it didn't blow up. So I looked at him and I was like, holy shit, did you see that? These fucking dumbasses didn't even pull the safety pin. And he's like, yeah, fucking dumbasses. As soon as I looked back down the street, another one landed. Now this one landed 3 feet away from me, and they did pull the safety pin. So I was blown off my feet. I took shrapnel up the whole left side of my body. As I fall down to the ground, I remember Justin LaHue picking me up and saying, are you good? At that time, I reached down, grabbed my nuts, because that was the first thing I wanted to check on. I reached down, I grabbed my nuts under my groin protector, pulled my hand away. There's no blood. I said, I'm good. And then I said to him, I was like, oh, hold on a second. I felt stuff hit my face, and I'm kind of conceited. I'm a good looking dude. I felt it hit my face, and I was like, is my face okay? He looked at me dead straight. We had been in the cemetery, or we had been in this city for like 5 days. Looks me dead in the face and goes, you need to shave. And I was like, oh, that's probably the most first sergeant thing you could say in a combat. And then all of a sudden I was like, ow, my hand hurts. And then I looked down at my hand and my pinky's hanging all the way off. So I had taken also strapped through my hand. So it almost severed my pinky. And I was standing there and I was like, ah, shit, Doc, come here, check this out. And he looks at me and he sees blood on my trousers. And he's like, oh, blood on your trousers. He goes to cut my trousers off. I smack him in the head and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you have blood on your trousers. I drop my trousers. I'm like, look, I'm good. It's my fucking hand, asshole. And he goes, holy shit. So he tapes my shit up. We go back into the building. And for about a day and a half, I can't hold my rifle because my hand is completely busted. I'm holding it through the crook of my arm, trying to pry off windows and clear rooms. And then First Sergeant LaHue, now Sergeant Major LaHue, Justin LaHue says, hey, you need to get medevac. And I was like, I'm not fucking going anywhere. He goes, yes, you are. I said, no, First Sergeant, you're not going to make me go anywhere. He goes, okay, you want to play that game? He goes, gets the company commander. Company commander goes, Staff Sergeant Bud, I order you to go get seen. And I was like, really, sir? You're going to fucking pull this one? He's like, yes. So I went back to the BAS, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we need to medevac you. So I get medevaced over to Babylon. I go to Babylon, and they probably one of the most beautiful nurses I've ever seen in my life comes out to the helicopter to pick me up. She had just come out of the shower. She smelled really good. I smelled like butthole. They walk me into the cache, and they're like, all right, she says, I'll be right back. And I was like, cool. This dude comes over who looks like Chaps. This old crusty motherfucker comes walking over, and I'm like, hey, where's the other lady? He goes, yeah, that's how we get you dumbass Marines into the freaking combat aid center. He comes over, cleans my wound up, casts me again, and then I go over to I try to find Marines in Babylon. The only ones I find is Fort Anglico, and I'm sitting there with them, and they're watching Fox News. Well, the funny thing is that we had Fox News with us, and they're watching this video feed it's from a rooftop down, and you see this blur go in front of the camera, and then it lands next to a Humvee, and there's a Marine in front of it who gets blown off his feet and onto the ground. And everybody in there was like, oh my God, I hope that dude's okay. And I go, yeah, I think he's okay. He broke his hand. And they're like, what? And I go, yeah, that was me. So Fox News was actually able to catch me getting blown up on tape. Well, at that time, I was like, I'm not fucking staying here. So I go out to the helo pad, and as one of the 46s comes down, my buddy Cruz gets off. He's the crew chief on the 46. I'm like, hey, bitch, you going back to Najaf? He's like, yep. So I jump on the plane, fly back down to Najaf, land at Fob Hotel, walk into the BAS. The chief is like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're UA from the cache. And I was like, does it look like I care? No, I don't care right now. So he goes, don't go anywhere. You're not doing anything. So as soon as he turned his back, I walked out. My company gunny just happens to be driving by. And I'm like, hey, gunny, let me go grab my shit. So I go over to the tent. I grab my shit. I see the Marines. I'm like, who's got water? The Marine gives me water. I pour water on a cask, cut it off, put a baseball glove or a batting glove on my hand because, that has so much stability to hold your hand together. And then I grab my shit and I go back out. And this was all in like 8 hours. Auburn just showed up, making my dogs go crazy. So I go back out, and First Sergeant LeHue, Justin LeHue, looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Did you think I was going to miss this? My whole friggin' platoon is here." My platoon commander was freaking out. "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Come on, man. Do you really think I was going to miss this?" And yeah, that was about it. That was 18 years ago on the 25th. We lost a lot of good Marines over there. Jeff, I heard you say the name Winship. That's actually one of my good buddies. He was in 3-8 with you guys. I heard you say that. We went through combat instructor school together. And then when I was in Afghanistan, he actually replaced my company. He was the company gunny of the company that replaced me in Afghanistan. He was with 3-3. I was with 1-3.
No, man, he was awesome. I love that dude. Like, he shaped my entire career, just like his mentality and the way he acted has shaped everything for me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like being Ramadi with him as my platoon sergeant for 3 Bravo, like, it would have been a completely different outcome without him. He was just aggressive and to the point.
Phenomenal fucking Marine. Phenomenal Marine. Didn't want to go to PME, but he was a phenomenal Marine. Because I told him, I was like, "Hey, if you go to advanced course, you know you'll get selected for Master Sergeant." He's like, "Fuck that." I was like, "Put in a gunner package." He would have been a phenomenal freaking Marine gunner too. And he's like, "Why would I want to do that?" I'm like, "I don't know, because it's cool." But he just wanted to be around the Marines.
I went with him to Yuma, Arizona for 2 weeks to train reservists how to shoot machine guns, and the stuff that he made me drink there.
Nice.
We drank so much, I still can never drink. I'm like, oh, Winship ruined that for me. Can't drink Jaeger because of Winship.
Oh yeah, but that was my time in the job. And as you could say, I mean, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Got blown up, went back. It's just like everybody else on this panel will do. You're not just going to go and hide out in some place, just freaking sitting there. No, you got Marines on your left, right, front, back of you that truly need you, and you need them.
Yes.
Spoken like a true sergeant major right there.
Well, I mean, Evan had his head almost blown off his freaking body, and he's like, "I'm good, Doc. Leave me alone. Let me go back out."
Well, I mean,
like, you know what?
I was actually like pretty like tame compared to your story, Sergeant Major, because
Now he's still caught him by Rick.
I mean,
stay at a parade rest right now.
I went in like, as soon as I was cleared, like 2 weeks late duty, I was like, "So can I go back to like my FOB?" Because I had like, like a squad reinforced, like plus of guys. And they're like, "Yeah, as long as you don't drive, because if you drive and you get hit again, it could be an issue." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "So can I fly?" They're like, "Yeah." So I found some supply LT who is my battalion's unit liaison, and I just followed him around. He's like, "What are you doing, Sergeant?" I said, "I have no purpose. I'm going to be your PSD." He goes like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "A flight." So if I'm like on a flight, like I basically like hitchhiked back to like Fiddler's Green. So I kind of did the same thing you did in a way, and I shouldn't have been back there. I basically like escaped being medevaced and whatnot out of there. So yeah, so I completely agree with you. I mean, that's pretty much what we do. We always want to get back into like the fight.
Oh yeah. And I have to ask this question, Evan. So you had a concussion, and then you thought it was smart to go stand next to the 777 while it was going off.
Absolutely, yeah. I was a knuckle dragger.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, that's good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking
about.
Go
I mean,
there.
Like when I am walking to BAS after I stroked out, and I'm like foaming at the mouth, and I'm like slurred speech. I do remember thinking, I'm like, I wonder if these two things are connected, right? and then I go to BAS, the same doc that saw me, and I'm thinking, oh, whatever. And he's like, I think you have food poisoning or like malaria, because I was up all night like heaving my guts out, and I'm like, dude, I did like the invasion of Iraq, and we didn't shower for like 80 days, right? Like, even though we have all like our own showers here, like I do not have malaria, and I definitely don't have food poisoning. So
I love Navy docs. Navy medicine is awesome.
Yes. Oh
yes,
100%.
Yes, you guys got it on lock. Like, you guys got it on lock.
Yeah, but I had a spider bite when I was on the ship. I was somewhere like it was like in Africa, right? I know it's not like, but I went to
It's a fucking war wound right there.
no, it was brutal. The corpsman put me down on this gurney, and he calls in 6 other corpsmen, and they held me down, and they start cutting, and they went all the way to the bone, and they didn't numb it, they didn't give me an aspirin, they didn't do shit, and they just started cutting away. Then every day for 30 days, for 30 days, I had to go in and get this 6-foot piece of gauze shoved in this hole. It was fucking horrible, man. It wasn't a war injury.
And now you're a shellback.
Yeah, now I'm a shellback.
Now you're a shellback.
And I didn't get seasick.
So my story's a little older than yours.
Oh, well,
Yes,
we're going right to the junior commander in chief.
By the way, you're our second Vietnam veteran. Our first one was Uncle Si. So actually, you're like our first real interview for a Vietnam, because Uncle Si really didn't talk too much. He was just cracking jokes the whole time.
Well, it's not going to be any consolation to you, but as Sergeant Major reflected, his was 18 years ago. Mine goes back to November the 23rd, 1967. So that's 55 years ago or whatever. It's as fresh today as it was on November the 23rd. It may have been a long time ago, but that memory will always stay with you. I deal with it differently, but November is a very melancholy month for me. We started off, we were going to have we were in the bush. We were going to have Thanksgiving dinner flown in, but we had got a radio transmission that there was an NVA regiment within the area, and we were told to go search it out. So my company, I was with 4th Battalion, 31st Infantry of the 196 Light Infantry Brigade. This was 1967. It was about 25 clicks southwest of Da Nang in an area called the Quai Son Valley, which adjoins the Oshaw Valley, both known as Death Valley, because of the fighting that went on. So just as Evan talked about, that morning was electric. It was very misty, very foggy, cool, and you just knew that something was not right. And Sergeant Major, when you're there and you don't see any people, but you see news media, you know something's up, because the people aren't there and they know something's up. So we didn't run into anybody as we were going. And I started the day, I was a platoon leader at the time. I started the day with 24 men. And we got online and we started sweeping. And as we were sweeping, this is about 6:30 in the morning. We're going up a small rise. There was a hill in front of us. The hill number was 63, and this is up in I-Corps. And as we were online, a couple rounds went off. The company commander, who was on the far left flank, told us to start swinging around to the left. And so that's what we began to do. I was on the right flank. 3rd platoon was in the middle. 1st platoon was on the left flank. And as we turned, there was a couple more shots went out. He said, come on around. And so as we came around, we walked to an L-shaped ambush. And then the initial barrage of machine gun, AK-47, and RPG. 10 of my men went down wounded. 4 of my men were killed. I was hit with shrapnel, but superficial wounds. We kept fighting and driving to get out of the kill zone and managed to get through. Battle raged on for 4 days. We got Thanksgiving dinner 4 days later. Of course, it was cold, and then some. Just glad to get out alive. I started November the 23rd with As I said, 24 men. On the fourth day, there were 6 of us left. I had was myself, my platoon sergeant, my radio operator, one of my squad leaders, and my platoon medic, and myself. All of us were wounded, but fortunately, there was one additional man killed. He was standing right next to me when he was shot. We killed the soldier that shot him, but I didn't realize that I carried that guilt with me. And like Evan, I didn't get I don't believe I got a TBI, but I will tell you that I have no recollection of those 4 days. I couldn't give you a detail one because my brain shut itself off. I know my brain said, this shit can't be happening. This is beyond comprehension. This is unreal. And it was. You had red tracers. We had green tracers. Green tracers were coming in. And those green tracers, I couldn't figure out what this noise was while I was hunkered down. I could see the tracers, but I kept hearing this thip thip noise. And I looked to my right, and it was the grass next to me that was flipping up. And I said, "Oh shit! Somebody can see me." So I tried to get the rest of me inside my helmet, but my wounds were superficial. I was not evacuated. My most significant wound was underneath my neck. It was a piece of shrapnel, but I was peppered, just blisters and just incidental marks. No severe bleeding. So I was not. I did not evacuate, and like you, I didn't want to be evacuated. Don't take me. These are my men, and I had a great relationship with my troops. Like I said, I was a Mustanger, and they came first. They always knew that they came first. I treated them as best I could. They understood that my name was Al. They didn't address me as lieutenant. They didn't address me as sir. They certainly didn't salute. Tried to protect them as best I could. I knew very few of them's names because I didn't want to know their names. I didn't want to get that close to them because I knew what I was going to have to do. But we did well. I looked just like everybody else. I got a new radio operator after that, and he said, "Where do you want me in the when we got more troops back? I lost 18, but I only got 12 replacements in, and one of them was my radio operator, and this new radio operator. He said, "Where do you want me in the formation?" And he said, and I asked him, I said, "Did you go to orientation to jungle warfare?" "Yes, I did." And he said, "Yes, sir." And I said, "Again, don't call me sir." He said, "Well, I did." And I said, "Well, did they tell you anything about radio operators?" And he said, "Just that, I'm critical. I'm the key to communication." And I said, "That's right." And I did know his name because I really wanted to know his name. His name was Roger Gross. And I said, "Roger, do you know who the first person they shoot in an engagement?" He said, "No." I said, "The radio operator." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know the second person they shoot?" He said, "No." And I said, "Whoever's standing next to him." So, Roger, I don't want you standing next to me. I'm going to move you away, but I'm going to hide your radio so nobody knows that. If I need you, I'll call you, and you can flip your antenna back up. But that was my first tour. It was that 1968, as you may recall, was the beginning of Tet, and this November battle that we were in with the 2nd NVA Division, the 3rd Regiment. That was the beginning of their move down in strength into South Vietnam, and In January, I was up on top of Hill 431, one of the fire support bases. When it was overrun, we had NVA in the wire, instructed to shoot anything that moves outside your bunker, because nobody go outside. If you're outside your bunker, you're going to be shot, and that's how close we were. Those two engagements were. I mean, we were throwing hand grenades at each other, and it was very close combat, and artillery that we had calling in, and the air support that we were calling in was danger close. I mean, we called it in on the wire. It was so close. But I left there, decided to stay in. That was my first tour. Decided I wanted to stay into the military because I love the regiment. I love the discipline. I love the relationship that I had with the men that I served with, because we all knew we'd take care of each other. We were truly brothers. And it doesn't matter what branch of service you're in. It doesn't matter which conflict you're in. That feeling is the same for all of us. And it doesn't matter, how many decades go by. Those relationships are still there. So I went back my second tour, and my second tour was in Saigon. That was in 1971. And in 1971, I knew the war was done, that Washington was strictly going to keep this thing going for whatever profit and benefit they could get politically. When I got to Saigon, I was there for 3 days. I'd been promoted to captain, and I was looking to go to a company, but they kept me in Saigon at the Combined Intelligence Center. And the fourth day, the Spec 4 comes up, and he says, "Sir, you need to get your gear and get on the truck, because we're going to take you to your unit." And I said, "Well, what unit am I going to?" And he said, "The 525th. Didn't mean shit to me. I said, "525th what?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, where am I going?" And he said, "Sir, really, you need to get your gear and get on the truck. It's getting late. We gotta drive." And I said, "Well, where do I go to draw my weapon?" And he said, "Sir, we don't give you a weapon." I got in his face and I said, "Soldier, let me tell you something. I've been here before. Until somebody finds me a gun, I ain't getting on a truck." They found me a pistol, and I got on the truck, but they wouldn't give me a rifle. And I knew then, and the pistol was not loaded. I mean, it was such Mickey Mouse bullshit. And I knew then that this thing was over. And that was the war in Saigon. Was the last in 1971. Saigon was the last of the Wild West. It was just an amazing place. Then I went to Israel during the October War. I was there for a month, assisting the Israelis on the identification. Actually, I was verifying the identification of damage that they had done to the Egyptian army. They kept saying they had destroyed the Egyptian armor, all of it. I kept saying no, because I can still see it. And they said, "You got to come over here." So I was sent over with a group of 11 people. It was called Operation Gridlock. And sure enough, those tanks all looked good from above, but they had great big holes in the side of them, and they weren't moving. And in Panama, it was just, it was nothing to speak of. And like all of you, none of us, all of us surmised the same thing. It was part of the job. It was another day at work. Nothing special. That's the job that we signed up for. I signed up to close with and destroy the enemy. I did try to get back in after 9/11. And by the way, Earl, I got your father-in-law by 1 year. I'm a +1, but You tell me who you want me to go kill, and I'll go kill him. But I'm only going to do that with two conditions. And this is what I told the colonel at Fort Hollaburg. I said, I'll go on two conditions. One, you tell me who you want me to kill, and I'll go kill him. And the second thing is, after I do that, I'm coming home. The military is not a police force. We're not law enforcement. We're warriors. We're there to do one thing, and that's kill the enemy, destroy the enemy.
Hoorah.
If you want law enforcement, if you want a policing effort, send police officers, not warriors, because we're going to break shit. And this rules of engagement are only for spectators. And that's the way to
awesome,
conduct
Al.
war. So, yeah, I'm a grunt. Yeah. Still
God
am.
bless the
love
grunts.
that.
Yeah.
Hey, and as you can see, the Artie guy, he took off. I don't even know where he went.
We-
I think he had to go poop.
Hey,
But I appreciate all of you because
Al.
again, as I said, we're the same age. I know I told you how I'm going to be I am 76, but I'm the same age you are because the age I am is inside here. The young brain I've got is up here. I think like you do. The
Right.
other thing that I think like you do is we are warriors. We know what it is to be in combat. There's those that serve in combat and those that are in combat. We know what combat is, and we are all changed by the experience that we've had. And that change can be whatever we allow it to be. We've got to come to grips with it. It took me 40 years. When I
Right.
went to the VA for help after 40 years, I went in for Agent Orange, for my Agent Orange and whatever. And this civilian asked me, she said, nurse, she said, can I ask you, she said, do you have PTSD? I said, hell no, I don't have PTSD. I'm fine. She said, can I ask you some questions? Go ahead. She asked me 4 questions. She said, sir, I'm not going to ask you any more questions. I said, why not? She said, because I can't prescribe medication for you. I said, what are you talking about? She said, oh, sir, you have issues. I said, really? She said, yeah, I'm going to make you an appointment with a psychiatrist. I said, okay. I did not realize that I carried that soldier that was standing next to me. His name was Rodney Lopeman, 19 years old, PFC. I had just told him to move. If I had told him perhaps a tenth of a second sooner, maybe he'd still be here, but he got shot in the head. And I didn't know that I carried that with me until I went to counseling, and it came up in a immersion therapy where I had to relive the moment. And I said out of that, I had, within that, 4 men went down and I had 1 man killed. And he said, he stopped the tape and asked me to repeat it. And I said, I don't know what I said. And he said, I'm going to play the tape back. And it said, I had 1 man killed. And he said, you think you had that man killed? And I said, no, I don't. He said, yeah, you do. You said it. And I said, no. He said, well, let me ask you a question. Did you kill anybody? And I said, hey, yeah, of course. He said, did you think about it? And I said, of course not. I was trying to survive. I was just shooting. He said, don't you think that the NVA soldier was doing the same thing? And I said, I guess. He said, he didn't look out and pick one of the 2 of you. He just shot. And he just happened to shoot the guy standing next to you. That really helped me out. It really, really helped me out. And I still go see Rodney. Every time I go to Washington, D.C., which is every year, I go to the wall and I look at panel 33 on the east, line 63. And I think that's still the line number. And I look Rodney up and talk to him. And that'll always be with me. I am who I am today. And I'm going to, I know I'm taking some time, but
You're good.
I can't help but say this. If you all are not members of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, I'm
There it is.
encouraging you to do so.
He's doing my job, man. He's
The
doing my
PAC
job.
Act just passed. Now, don't let anybody shit you. The House passed the PAC Act. It went to the Senate.
Robert's
And the
smiling
House
right
said,
now.
we passed the PACT Act, yay. And the Senate said, bullshit. We're not going to pass it. So they made changes, sent it back to the House. The House accepted those changes. They sent it back to the Senate. And the Senate said, okay, we've passed the PACT Act. Yay. So it went back over to the House, and the House made one change, one sentence. And it went back over to the Senate, and it passed 84-14 in the Senate. It went back to the Senate, and it failed. It failed. 26 Republicans changed their vote. Now I'll call them Republicans because I really don't give a shit what party they're in. But 26 Republicans changed their vote for spite to get a bill that the Democrats wanted to pass. They wanted it to fail. They put our lives on the line. They denied us care. And this act not only goes back to Vietnam veterans, because it goes all the way back, but it takes care of the burn pit issues and the toxic chemicals that you guys faced. So you don't have to wait over 50 years like we've had to wait for Agent Orange stuff. But I'm not celebrating. Yeah, it passed the House. Yeah, it passed the Senate. It's got to have one more signature. And that's the President of the United States. And I ain't cheering until I see his name on the line. And then it's done. Until it's done, it ain't done. Until it's funded, it has not been put in place. So all this bullshit about, yeah, we're taking care of your guys is pure bullshit. And we are taking them, we are holding them accountable. The new commander-in-chief was very direct. I'm 2 years away from being commander-in-chief. And let me tell you something. When I get there to testify, the very first thing that I'm going to say, listen to what I'm saying, because if you're on, you'll hear it. I want to inform them that I was killed in Vietnam. I just haven't died yet. But what they did to us in Vietnam, every single soldier that served, every single airman that touched anything to do with the aircraft, with bombs, with rockets, any Marine that was on the ground, any sailor that was on the ground or in the waters, they've killed us all. It's to die. It's research, deny until they all die. And that's what they're waiting on. And I, for one, am not going to forgive them. And neither should you. So if you're not a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, please sign up. I don't care if you never go to a meeting. We need your number. I want you to go to a meeting.
No, definitely go to meetings. They're actually kind of fun.
Because don't be surprised if I don't say, hey, it's such and such a day. It's such and such a day. Meet me on the mall in Washington, because that's the only thing that Washington D.C. understands. So, with that, again, thank you for letting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Letting me be on.
Thanks, Al.
Al, I just want to let you know that I'm a proud All-American past commander of the VFW.
They're fantastic.
Yes, he is.
Thank you.
So, to piggyback on that, the government does a great job of building up warriors, training them how to go to war, but what they lack in is bringing them home and teaching them how to be a civilian again.
Right.
There's a huge disconnect right there, and I'm going to offer you an episode. I would like to invite you to come back and have your own episode, because I literally have a million questions for you, but I don't want to get away from the Purple Heart stuff. I have a ton of questions about Vietnam and what you saw and how you coped with it when you got home, but we'll save that for another day, and hopefully we can get you back here in the very near future.
Okay, what episode is that?
Well, we're gonna talk about that after this. Well, I'll get with you.
We don't know yet, Al. Maybe 40, maybe 45.
I thought you wanted me to go back and look at another episode.
Oh, no.
I'll do a future episode.
Yeah. I want you to come back and talk about. We just want to do the whole Al story.
No problem.
All right, perfect. And thanks for your story, man.
Thanks,
That's incredible.
You're welcome.
Who's next?
Bert.
So First off, I want to say thank you all for letting me be here. And secondly, I am incredibly humbled to be in the presence of all these Marines and my brothers. It means a lot. So thank you all very much for everything that you all have done and what Sergeant Major, what you continue to do. Thank you. So I'm a little bit of an oddity. So far, out of everyone who's spoken, I'm a dual member. I actually was in the Marine Corps, 0331 heavy machine gunner, and very proud. And then I got out after 6 years, did a stint in Desert Storm, couldn't stand civilian life, and I joined the Army.
Wrong. Just kidding.
Now, when I went into the Army, I told them, "Ain't no way I'm gonna be a grunt. I'm going supply." So I did logistics.
Box kicker.
Did tour to Iraq, no problem. Second tour to Iraq, I'm the NCOIC of S4 for the battalion. My XO comes in and says Sergeant C, because of course they couldn't pronounce my last name, and I got tired of being called Quasimodo. So they said, hey, I heard what you did. And I was like, oh, look, I do a lot of acquisitions and I secure a lot of stuff. I didn't do anything, sir. He said, no, I heard in the Marine Corps you were a gunner. I said, sir, nope, no way. I picked this job to sit behind this desk. I'm good. And then he gave me an order to be his gunner on his security team when we went out on just diplomacy missions. I said, okay, sir, fine. We were down close to Al-Nazariya in Talil. We pulled up, got a word that they had some activity, so we waited. We dismounted. I'm in the turret in a Humvee with a 50 cal in front of me. Next thing you know, I feel something burning. I got hit by a sniper right in my left arm, my bicep. Severed my bicep, ricocheted off my bone, and lodged into a lymph node right here in my collarbone. I didn't think nothing of it. Oh, I'm just nicked. I'm good. We fired. We returned fire. Next thing you know, RPG hits my Humvee. I'm thrown from the turret, and I get 3 compression fractures in my spine. I didn't have no idea. I didn't know what was going on. I just see people running around. My ears are ringing. All I worried about is I need to get back up and take care of my soldiers and everything else. And they're pulling me down. Sergeant C, you're hurt. Let's go. I'm like, no, I got to take care of this. We finally got rolling. They medevaced me out, went back to Talil. They sat there. They stitched me up. They removed the lymph node because it was getting infected from the shrapnel. And found out that two of my soldiers who actually came with me because they wouldn't let me go alone, they didn't make it. And 3 days later, I was back in it, went back to the battalion, and they forbid me to go back out, stayed behind the desk the rest of the time. But I've had quite a few surgeries since to fix everything that did to my arm. It's at the point now where if I have another injury to my left shoulder, I won't have a shoulder anymore. There's nothing to fix. It's not that glorious as a story. It happened. I'm here, thankfully. My son was born 2 weeks after. And I'm just, I'm glad to be here in the presence of you all. It's not anything glorious. It happened. I got awarded a Purple Heart. If I could go back and I wasn't medically discharged, I'd be in it all over again, doing whatever I needed to do. I can't. So like Al, Chaps, I'm a member of the VFW, and I still serve by helping the veterans in my community and around the state and everything, and make sure that they're taken care of. And that's what matters. I'm still here. I'm serving in a different way. But Sergeant Major, kudos. Thank you for your service. Evan, Jeff, Chaps, Al, Robert, thank you all for your service. And Al, I couldn't have done what I did if you not did what you did in Vietnam. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So
thanks, Bert.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. Mr. Hunt.
Mr. Hunt. He's up. The Rakkasan is up.
Yeah, I got the most boring story. So
No, stop lying, Robert. Your story is freaking awesome, dude.
crazy. So mine actually, I enlisted in 95, heavily influenced by Operation Gothic Serpent in 93, Somalia. I was a sophomore in high school, and I knew that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to join the military, want to be infantry, I'm going to jump out of planes, kill people, save the world, travel. So I actually started basic training at Fort Benning, Wayward School for Boys, on October 3rd, 1995, the second anniversary of Operation Gothic Serpent. Did all my stuff there, graduated AIT, went to airborne school, did everything, Ranger school. Then my first duty assignment was in Germany. Immediately after getting there, I went to Bosnia. Bosnia was a TBI, peacekeeping operation. So while we weren't heavily engaged in fighting or anything, we did take some pop shots at us and stuff, and still have to lay the smackdown on some Serbs and some Muslims and stuff. But after that 8-month deployment, there was nothing to do, and it was just train. And then in 2000, I decided I was going to re-enlist. It was going to be my second re-enlistment, but I needed something to do. I was really burnt out on the infantry because there was no wars to fight or anything. So I was given 3 choices. I could be a chaplain's assistant. I could have been an aircraft structural repair specialist, or I could have been an MP. My desire has always been to help people, so I decided to go the MP route. Did that, reclassed. I got to Fort Campbell, I think it was June of 2000. So I was there before 9/11 happened. When 9/11 happened, I actually tried to go back to the infantry, but they wouldn't let me. So, but I ended up deploying more times as an MP than I did as an infantryman. Like I said, I was at Fort Campbell when 9/11 happened, and I think it was mid-November. President Bush came to Fort Campbell to speak. We were one of the first bases that he came to after 9/11, so we kind of knew something was up. And it was there shortly after we got alerted that we were going to Afghanistan. I was an advance party with some infantry guys from Task Force Rockathons. There was also some Marines. We were the first Americans on the ground. Of course, the Rangers jumped in, we landed, and then the Marines landed. Not to say that they weren't there first, but
you had to put that in, didn't you? Had to.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's cool.
So took part in different operations there. Biggest one was Operation. Sorry, my head is. I have to apologize. Going last in this, my anxiety is just kind of through the roof.
Robert, you're doing great, dude.
Take your time, man.
It's all good, brother. It's all good.
But it was Operation Anaconda. We thought we had Bin Laden in the mountains of and so I was attached to Task Force Rockathon. We were advancing on an objective. We were taking indirect fire. There was an infantry guy, mortar hit, I think like within arm's length of him, shredded his legs. But they kept advancing, and we were behind them. We were tasked with aid and litter and EPW. I took one of my privates and I said, no, we got to go get him. Ran out, started applying tourniquets. And then it was just really weird. Like some of you guys have said, it's there's like the lull of violence, and it's like, oh, that's not normal. I stood up and I turned around and I looked up the hill because it was so quiet. And another round hit. I got peppered, took just minor shrapnel to my arms, legs, torso. I did not get a Purple Heart for that, even though they said they were going to put me in for one. Then fast forward, after Afghanistan, I was stationed in Okinawa. I was blessed to work with some Marines there, Camp Hansen and Lester and some other places. I got to do their jungle warfare school, which was an eye-opening experience. But while I was stationed in Okinawa, that was 2002, 2003, my daughter passed away. I actually found out I was going to be a dad when I was in Afghanistan, that I was having a daughter. Fast forward, July 3rd, 2003, she passed away. And I pretty much just, from there, I didn't care about anything or anyone. I did everything I could to go wherever there was a deployment. I volunteered with First Group to go to the Philippines. Got to go play in the jungles there, eat some monkey and some goldfish. But I ended up 2005 at Fort Polk, Louisiana. We got there right before Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. My youngest daughter, my third daughter, was born right between them. They shut down Fort Polk. They had to send families away. I had to send my kids to Florida. It's usually people leave Florida when there's a hurricane, but we got to send people to Florida. And we did humanitarian missions in and out of New Orleans and around the Gulf Coast. There was a reserve unit that was supposed to be deploying to Iraq. Well, they lost all their gear and equipment and stuff, so they told us, "You guys are the next ones up. You're going in their place." So very shortly after getting to Fort Polk and then have my daughter born and then going through the two hurricanes, November we left for Iraq. It was a whirlwind experience. I got tasked with a lot of stuff because of my background in the infantry. So if anything needed to be done, there was always call Sergeant Hunt. We made it through that deployment fairly unscathed. We did have a few people injured from IEDs, EFPs. And then March of 2006, I lost a really good friend of mine. And it just kind of sent me down a rabbit hole. So I was volunteering for every mission I could, whether it didn't mean if it was my unit, another unit that needed someone to fill in, I would always go. I spent my 30th birthday in Baghdad, July 26th. And it was like 3 weeks later, August 13th, actually, I picked up a mission to do an escort because some Iraqi official did not want to ride in a Black Hawk. For some reason, he was scared, so we had to drive him from one fob to another. It was supposed to be a real quick mission, out and back, no more than an hour and a half, straight shot from our fob to the next. We ended up getting ambushed. They ran a taxi cab into our lead vehicle, disabled it. As we did a security halt, they tried to hit us from an alley with a second vehicle. We don't know if it was supposed to be a V-bit or something. But as we got the area secure, I was in the trail vehicle and I decided I was going to get out dictate, well, not dictate, kind of direct security. And my first mistake was I didn't grab my rifle when I got out. I just had a regular M4. I grabbed my gunner's saw. So I'm the only person on the street pulling security with a light machine gun. And I remember telling myself, that's probably not the smartest thing to do because I'm in the open. And I got shot by a sniper. I think it was Jeff was saying Jeff got shot in the head, or who was
Kevlar.
someone did.
It was Jeff.
It was Jeff.
Jeff definitely got shot in the head.
So I got shot in the head too.
I keep forgetting my mute.
They always say you never hear the round that got you.
He's frozen.
Oh man, you got froze.
Come on.
Sorry, my screen was blinking.
Oh, you're good.
Good. Thank God.
So they say, you never hear the round that gets you. It was a single round. I heard it, and I started to react to it. And they say by dumb luck, that's what saved me. Entered the back of my head, fractured my C2, C3. Came around, fractured my eye socket, my cheekbone, and came out here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Went down like a sack of bricks. And while I was laying there, it was kind of like an out of body experience. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. A lot of this I've never really been forthcoming with talking about it, not even to my kids or anybody. But it was like I knew something had happened, and it was dark, and I was like, I'm dead. Good, I'm dead. And then my daughter, the one that passed away, I could hear her. She said, "No, not now, not now." And it was a struggle because hearing her, it was like I just wanted to be with her. But same time, not now. I know I had people that were depending on me, and my eyes opened. I was looking at a crystal clear blue sky because I was laying on my back in the middle of a road in Baghdad. Felt like my face was on fire. I slowly reached up, looked, handful of blood, and first thing I said was, they shot me in the fucking face. I didn't realize that it come from the back. I stood up, tried to move a cover. It was really wobbly. Trying to return fire down a street because I just knew I had to have suppressive fire to move. Apparently, they didn't like that too much either. But as I was coming to the vehicle, one of our corpsmen, medics, you guys call him corpsman, he grabbed me and I'm spitting blood and stuff everywhere. And he looked at me and he's like, "Hey, you get free license plates." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Okay, now that you're calm, let me take care of you."
Man.
So it was like, it just snapped me back in. I was like, okay, yeah, okay. So I've got gauze and stuff all wrapped on my face, around my head. I really didn't even know the extent. I just knew the front of me was bleeding. So our SOP was our casualties go in the rear passenger seat of the vehicles. I had made the decision that we were going to go back to our fob because we had a hospital instead of going to the one we were supposed to that only had an aid station. So I made the wrong choice. I ended up having to drive because when I opened up my rear passenger door, there's a scared PFC sitting there. So I basically said, "Fuck it, I'm driving. Let's go." We had the first vehicle that was disabled was hooked up to our ASV, and they were pulling it. And we turned around and we started heading back. Got about a quarter mile away. And this is the craziest thing is there's the guy sitting in the back seat. My gunner's taking the radios and stuff from me, and I'm driving. So I'm leaning on the steering wheel, trying to stay awake and alert, holding my face, staring. My gunner's on the radio calling in 9 line saying, position, we're coming back, have everybody ready, blah, blah, blah. And boom, got hit by an IED.
Jesus.
At that time, they were really good at targeting where they wanted to hit our vehicles. And it actually detonated right between the doors on the driver's side. Had I been sitting back driving, my head would have been gone. Had my gunner been leaned back, legs would have been gone. And the guy that was in the back seat, just dumb luck, he didn't even get hurt, other than a scratch. But I took shrapnel to my arm. It shredded tires on the vehicle, armor's hanging off. We had the bulletproof windows. They're all ate up from taking the blast. I just kept going. Pulled into our base. It was the Marines called it Camp Cuervo. We called it Fob Rustamaya. It was Eastern Baghdad. Pulled up right to the hospital because it wasn't too far inside the main gate. And all medics and everything are running around the vehicle to the passenger side. I step out, my commander and my first sergeant are running up, and they're like, "What's going on? Who's hurt?" And I handed them my rifle, and I was out. I passed out. Woke up about 8 hours later, and my commander's like, "Hey, you need to call your dad." I say the only reason I bring that up is before I deployed, my dad's a Vietnam veteran. He went in 69. He left the Navy in 91, right as I was going into high school. He missed Desert Storm, but he had a very specific skill set of stuff that he did. And he had a nice conversation with my commander before I left. And I think it scared my commander. So he's like, "Hey, you need to call your dad. Tell him you're all right. Because they're going to call your family and tell them that you were hurt." So my first phone call was to my dad. Told him I was like, "Got hurt." So, "Well, what happened?" I was like, "I got shot in the face." "Well, you're talking. That's good." So, "Yeah, I don't think it's too bad." I was given the option to leave the theater and go home. I said no, because I only had 3 months left and I had a squad of people that were dependent on me. This was 2006, so nothing was really known at that time really about TBIs and stuff. It was just, "Oh, you got a concussion. You got a concussion." When I came back, when we started going back into our daily routine and workflow, started knowing problems. My balance was off. My vision was off. Speech and everything was affected. So I got sent to the Warrior Transition Unit. And they started doing all these tests, and they're like, "Hey, you have a traumatic brain injury. You have limited mobility of your arm. You have X, Y, and Z. You have PTSD. We're going to put you out of the Army." There was a guy on my deployment. He was an E7 at the time. He lost his arm at the shoulder. This guy had no schools or anything, but because he was a senior NCO, they let him stay in. They sent him to Leonard Wood to be an instructor at the MP school. So, well, hell, just let me stay in. If I can't do this, if I can't wear gear or anything, let me be an instructor. I got schools, I've got knowledge. They're like, "No, you're only an E5. You're a dime a dozen." So I tried fighting the discharge for about a year, and then 2007, I just gave in and said, "Put me out." I was separated with 10% disability.
10%.
Yes. for limited mobility of my arm. It took me 7 years of fighting with the VA to get to 100%.
Yep.
And at that time, it was, I was new. I'm originally from California. I had moved to Memphis. So it's not like I really had an outlet or anything here. But after I got out, within the first, I'd say 2 months, I ran across two older gentlemen. They were at a grocery store doing a poppy drive. I remember poppies from when I was really little. So I started talking to them, come to find out they're both Purple Heart recipients. One was from Vietnam. He was with the 4th Infantry Division. And the other one was a Marine, and he was
Damn it.
Okay.
There he
Marine,
goes.
He was in Korea, and he was with the Frozen Chosen.
He's keeping us on our
there.
toes.
So
It's Memphis. It's freaking Memphis, man. I know it's in the air.
Can you see it? Okay. I don't know why my computer's doing that. Sorry. But
it's Memphis, Robert.
Because you're Memphis.
I got recruited into the Military Order of the Purple Heart pretty quick by those guys.
It's frozen again.
Come on, man. Come on.
Okay. Then I joined the VFW with them. I didn't really know much about these organizations or anything, but it gave me a purpose, gave me direction. Same time, I started taking on leadership roles, small ones.
Oh, no, he's gone.
Come on back, Robert.
Yeah, you can do it.
Well, hey, Bert, while he's coming back, you need to get with Robert about MOPH stuff and with the cities, because he actually started that in West Tennessee. There's only you've already seen it. There's only 6 counties and maybe 5 cities and 1 university that's military of the Purple Heart, DOT Purple Heart Trail. So
right,
definitely, yeah, you definitely need to get with Robert. He's kind of like the brainchild. He was trying to do that years ago, and you guys definitely, you and Drew and me and him, we all need to start working together. And Jeff, and then Earl, whenever you join the VFW, hopefully it will be soon.
Yes.
Well,
I hear they got some good
VFWs.
VFWs.
You can join now. You don't have to be.
Y'all can do it right here on the podcast.
I can.
I'll pull up the app and I'll put you in right now.
He could do it. I could do it too. But I'm gonna give you Bert. I'm gonna give you your first one for this year. So it's okay.
I already got
Go ahead.
my first one.
Oh, you did?
Yesterday.
Good for you, man. I mean, Jeff's a member. Al is gonna be the commander in chief in 2 years.
Hey, Al, you're on mute.
Al.
Yeah, Al, you're on mute.
Let me switch. I'll unmute him.
There you go. So the junior vice commander in chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars would be honored.
Oh my God.
Here we go, Andrew. Here we go.
No, they're trying to snake it from us, man.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Well, hey.
We're sitting here but he's on mute. But
he's writing down the date of birth. He's writing down the address. He's getting the email. When were you in, Sergeant Major Bud? Oh, okay. Oh, hey, by the way, Sergeant Major Bud, our battalion commander, me and Jeff's, I was hanging out with him for 3 days, and Colonel Sinclair says hi.
Oh yes, Colonel Sinclair is a good mother. He's a good dude. He
is a good dude.
I'm not trying to say motherfucker on this.
No.
Well, your guys. The funny thing is, your guys' XO at the time was a guy by the name of Major Shit.
What's his name? Major.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
Bossman.
Nope.
Bozeman.
Because he ended up being my battalion commander at ITD. Gosh, and he was a lieutenant colonel on the East
Dude,
Coast.
you know everybody in our chain of command, Sergeant Major. So
Well, I'm telling you, like almost all of 3-8, after you guys came back from Iraq, went to the School of Infantry East. And that's where I met him. Because I spent almost all but 3 years were on the West Coast. Those 3 years that I spent over there, it was literally like, hey, what unit did you come from? 3-8, 3-8, 3-8, 3-8. Somebody in here said 3-9. Yeah.
Jeff said 3-9.
Yeah, there were some 3-9 guys there. What's funny is your sergeant major at 3-9, was his name Young?
Yep.
Yeah, see, dude.
I can tell you stories about that guy. He was a first sergeant with me in 1-4. He had Alpha Company 1-4 as the first sergeant. He is also a Purple Heart recipient.
That's when I remember when 3-8 was. I mean, we did the two to Iraq. Well, they did the Haiti one first, then two to Iraq, and then the MEU, and then that what it was. It was like, hey, y'all are going somewhere. You going to SOI or like me, we're going to Weapons Training Battalion. You're going somewhere to teach for a couple of years, and then 2 years later, and then that 2 years of that, then I was able to go back to 3-9. So it's like 3-8 was trying to push us out and go like, hey, SOI, Weapons Training Battalion, you got to go somewhere and teach for a couple of years.
Well, because a lot of you younger Marines at that time, I say younger Marines.
Did he just say younger Marines? He just called us boots. He just said boots. He did. He just said it.
Listen, man, I'm the one with the beard.
Never mind. I can't say anything. I just came off a leave. I just feel like
oh, of course.
I had to go back on base, so I had to shave.
Oh shit!
I'm just messing around, Sergeant Major Black. I did not grow a beard while I was on leave.
Hey, dude, listening. They just didn't Commandant Berger just swear in what's his name, Michael Young, General Young, right? Today
Langley.
or yesterday?
Langley.
What's his last name?
The Langley.
Yeah, the
4-star.
Yeah, the 4-star. Yeah.
I think his last name is Langley. He's taking over.
Langley. Yeah, Michael Langley. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, so he's taking over AFRICOM as a combatant commander.
Yeah, I just saw Troy Black's nice beady little head behind Commandant Berger, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Troy. He's looking good.
Yes, he is. How do you know Sergeant Major Black?
I met him once. I don't know. I think at a.
I met a lot of everybody.
I met a lot of guys when I got out in Savannah. I met General Conway. I met Hagee at a Marine Corps ball in Savannah. I mean, they get some really big names in Savannah, Georgia. It's crazy.
So General Conway's son was my battalion commander in 2nd Battalion, 3rd.
Shut up.
Yep.
Well, he's got a hot wife, so.
Which one?
Conway. She's fucking gorgeous.
Which one?
The blonde one, the blonde tall one. Oh my God, she was amazing looking.
The blonde tall one. There's 3 Conways. So you have General Conway.
General, yeah.
Colonel, and then Colonel.
No, General.
Are you talking about one of his sons?
No, I'm talking about General, like, who took over after Hagee? It was Conway, right?
He doesn't know what he's talking about at this point.
Who took over after Hagee? Yes, it was General Conway.
It was General Conway, yeah. And she was wearing a silver dress, blonde hair. All I could do was, like, stare at her the entire night. It was, like, kind of creepy. It was kind of weird. And we got, welcome, Mark Peterson, Patriot Pride. Woo!
Look who's back.
Hey, Robert. Yes, he's back.
Oh, my gosh. Did you fix that Tennessee
Did you have to reboot?
Internet?
Reboot? Yeah. Us boots had to reboot.
Oh, God.
Well,
I apologize.
Al calls all of us boots.
You're good.
I'm just a dumb monkey behind a gun, so I had to go to Gmail, go to Chrome, go to Explorer, do all kinds of crazy. I don't even know what I did, but I'm here.
Thanks.
So if somebody could tell me, where was I in my rambling?
You were right around where you said that you had met those 2 gentlemen with the Buddy Poppies.
Yeah,
you were
the
a member of
MOPH guys.
The Purple Heart, and you became a member of the VFW, and they gave you a purpose.
Yeah. So joining the VFW really helped. I was struggling in life and with everything.
I think L's taking off.
So I got involved with them. Then, got re-enrolled in school. Went back to college, got my degree. Wanted to teach history because being a part of so much over the 20 years that since I had joined the military, it just needed to be told from a fresh perspective and from a been there, done that perspective rather than I read it in a book. So meanwhile, I was still working with the Purple Heart, the VFW, going to school. I ended up getting divorced. I got custody of my 3 kids, and that really became my focus. So they were with me every step of the way of everything I've done in the VFW. So I've been able to teach them about, like loyalty, duty, respect, honor, core values. But it's just joining the VFW really made a difference in who I was and who I was becoming. And then here, 167 days ago, I started to fight my biggest battle. It's over the years, alcohol and stuff had took me to it. It was that was my therapy. That's how I dealt with stuff. Then when COVID hit, it got really bad being home. Before COVID hit, I was substitute teaching. I was coaching high school swimming and water polo. I was productive, and then I went to nothing. I just went to a dark place. Alcohol was there. And then I had 2 Marines. This is the funniest thing ever. Because who would ever thought that Marines would also, and they had a drinking problem. But, through conversations with these 2 guys, one being Mr. Farrar right there.
Thanks, Robert.
I made a change, and
yeah, you did.
It's been great. And I've started to really bounce back and get back into the swing of helping others and not feeling down or anything. So
I'm about to cry right now. I'm sorry. I'm tearing up right now, man.
I got sidetracked. That's part of the TBI, I guess.
Hey, I'm a dude. Hey, you're fine. I'm a squirrel, man. I mean, talk to Jeff. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just going back to the Purple Hearts. It's 2 Purple Hearts in one day. I didn't care if I lived or died, and then it was surviving that kind of like put me down a path of rediscovery and fixing my. It's been that was 2006, so it's been 16 years next week from when I was wounded. But I'm still discovering who I am and what I am and what I'm capable of, and so.
And you're doing a lot to help us here in Tennessee. And I just heard a rumor that you'll be helping out in the West and helping me with recruiting. So thank you so much for that, Robert.
Well, so yes, I will. You're going to hear it first. I am the chairman for West Tennessee's recruiting.
Yes, thank God.
I will probably be our next CNR.
Good. I mean, if Rick McKenna's watching this, definitely needs to happen.
And despite setbacks that I might have had a few months ago, I am running again for state junior vice commander of the VFW in Tennessee.
I know you are, man. I mean, I knew it. I knew. I know you didn't want to hug. This year,
So you're running for junior vice next year?
Yes.
and he's gonna get it.
Isn't that funny? Because I'm running for junior vice in Louisiana next year.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be classmates.
And
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm running for chaplain again. So you guys stay with your junior vice stuff. I'm gonna stay doing the chaplain thing.
But it's so I mean it's been a windy journey, a self-discovery, and it really took me getting wounded to figure out what I was meant for.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I got a question for you, Robert.
yeah.
There's a famous singer that we both know, but you actually have a better relationship with him because he has something of yours in his house. And what is that?
So there's actually two now.
Oh, not now it's two. Okay, good,
So
good.
um
Push.
from when I was in Afghanistan, I received the Bronze Star. And it was, it just kind of lost its luster and everything, and I didn't care too much about it. But I remember, like, really the thing that kept me going early on was Daryl Worley's song "Have You Forgotten." So what I didn't tell you guys was between the time I was in Okinawa and I ended up at Fort Polk, I was stuck in recruiting duty for 3 years in California. That was the Army's way of giving me a compassionate reassessment. My daughter died, was to send me to recruiting. I wasn't very productive, but I did meet a lot of good people. One of those people is a good friend of my hometown. His name's Jay Turner. He runs a local country radio station. So I got to meet quite a few different people, and Daryl Worley was one of them. And when I got to meet him, I was like, you know what? This thing's just sitting on my bookshelf. I don't care. I gave it to him because, it was just hearing people that actually sing about it, like the songs and stuff that came out about 9/11 and, remember what you're fighting for.
Remember when, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, something that stuck with me. So I gave Daryl Worley my Bronze Star. Now, I think it was probably about 2 weeks ago now. There was another country singer that was here in Memphis, and I gave him one of my Purple Hearts.
What?
Yeah.
Which one?
John
Ooh.
Rich.
No, oh
my
man,
God.
You son of a bitch. That's awesome. Good for you.
So, and then he's another person, I grew up on country music, from when I was in high school, listened to him, and then 9/11 comes around, he's in Big and Rich, and then everything now with the political climate and everything, and him taking his stand against different people and different things. The Purple Heart was
Man, we're losing everybody.
Yeah, the drops.
I'm still here.
I'm boring.
I'm
I'm
still
sorry. But
I'm still here.
So if you look at the back of our Purple Heart,
It's kids. It's always kids, man. Always kids.
Yep.
You got to take care of the kids.
School's back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow, right, Robert?
No,
Memphis-
mine aren't until Thursday and Friday. But
Okay.
it's that good private Catholic school.
God bless them.
I still got a week, but my wife is a teacher at the same high school that my son goes to, so I'm good.
Oh. So, but yeah, like I was saying, though, if you look at our Purple Hearts on the back of it, it says for merit. So the work that you do, or that people do, that's the merit that they receive. So, looking at everything that John Rich has done, his support for veterans, for what he's done for Tennessee veterans, what he's done for Folds of Valor, he merits an award.
Yeah.
And when I gave it to him, I actually gave him number 1 of 2. because when I got out, they gave me engraved Purple Hearts, you know, and it said 1 of 1 or 1 of 2, 2 of 2. So I gave him
Whoa.
1. So I told him, I said, look, you'll always have 1 and I'll always have 1. So, and
That's
he's like,
pretty
you know,
cool.
I don't deserve this. No, you might not got shot, blown up, stabbed, whatever, but you've done enough for those around you. You know, he always talks about his grandfather that was a
Yeah.
World War II veteran. It was logical to give it to him. I didn't try to do it with any fanfare or anything. You know, we have a mutual friend that was like, did you get him to sign anything?
Oh, I know exactly who asked that question.
And I was like, nope, you know, I didn't. It was a surprise. Gave it to him. I walked off stage. I didn't even talk to him after.
Oh my
But-
God! I think I know when. That's when I know when you gave it to him. Nice, good job.
Yeah.
Wow.
But since been invited to his house, he's like, you know, when I come off tour, hey.
Okay,
So-
I have not been invited to his house yet. I'm the only.
Well, so I thought that's where you were going with the whole thing. But he said he's going to have it framed. It'll be in his entryway with his grandfather's uniform and all the other stuff that.
Is that next to the IW wood card flag that I gave him?
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
if
please
I ever
do,
really
because
go.
I guess I'm not allowed in his house or something. I don't know. I guess I did something.
You're a Marine, you know.
Yeah, us
You gotta be
Marines.
kept on a short leash.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sergeant Major is like cussing and swearing like a sailor down there.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, see, there it goes.
So,
Hey, but Robert, thank you so much. Sergeant Major, thank you so much. It's running a little. We're at 1:47, an hour and
Yes.
47 minutes.
Whatever.
I-
The one that we did was like over 2 hours.
Yeah, it
It was
was.
like 2.5
Well,
hours.
You spoke for like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was like, hey, do you know this? And which, by the way, when we have Scheller on, I am not allowed to ask him, do you know this? Do
Yeah.
you know this person? I'm not allowed to ask any of those questions.
Well, but here's a funny story. So, at the School of Infantry East, I was Captain Schiller's company gunnery sergeant.
No way.
Yes, I was.
Wow. Yeah, I'll probably put on a tie and a jacket or something, make myself look nice.
No, if I wasn't still on active duty, we could talk. We could talk stories.
No. Hey, you got 3 more
Yeah.
years to go, Sergeant Major. So
Yep. But
Robert-
here's the funny thing is, so we got all 3 of you are from Tennessee.
yeah.
You're in Tennessee right now.
We're in
Yeah.
Tennessee,
I
yes.
I almost moved. I almost picked Tennessee to move to
you,
after I retired.
you still should.
Hey,
You know, there's snow in Tennessee.
Yes.
Not really.
Certain
Yeah, I'm
parts.
not. I'm
a
not
lot.
trying to
I
deal with
mean,
that.
you get like that much.
I'm not trying to deal with snow.
Yeah, you
So
don't
I
really deal
grew.
with snow.
I mean, I grew up in Alaska, so I'm not trying to deal with snow.
Okay. I understand now.
Yeah.
Nanook
I don't
of the
have-
North
I don't-
doesn't
I don't
want
wanna
snow
have-
no more.
I do not want to have to winterize my RV.
oh, you wouldn't have to.
Yeah,
it's-
dude.
yeah,
I
I
I
mean,
think Tennessee averages like 3 inches of snow for, I think it's 4 days out of the year.
it's like nothing. And then, but we did have ice, a little bit of that for like a week in Murfreesboro. But Memphis, dude, it's warm in Memphis. I mean, they hardly get anything.
So I got
Oh,
lost in Memphis when I was there. So we drove through because we were taking my son to Huntsville, Alabama for the NASA space camp.
Yep.
Went
Yes.
through Tennessee, went through Chattanooga, went through Memphis, and Chattanooga. I was like, that place is beautiful.
Chattanooga
Yeah,
is
Chattanooga.
that's off the chain.
Chattanooga
Yeah.
is beautiful. And then in Memphis, I was like, hey, let me find a good barbecue spot. The one place that we pulled up to, I was like, I don't know if I should get out of the car over here.
Where was it?
You know where Graceland is? Of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
you know where Graceland
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
It was like on the outskirts of Graceland, and
He was in Covington. I mean,
No,
it was.
I think that's
shady as heck.
interstate barbecue that you're probably talking about.
Yeah, I did not want to get out of my car.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
rough.
That's Whitehaven,
Oh,
and
yeah. Okay.
that is
Whitehaven.
Whitehaven.
That's the part of the town. It's called Whitehaven.
Oh,
From back in the day, because well, Elvis lived there, so that was the influential neighborhood in the day. Now it's not so much.
Yeah, you guys got a badass Bass Pro Shop in Memphis.
The Pyramid.
The big
pyramid.
Yeah.
It's the shit.
It is pretty nice.
Yep. Hold on a second. Hey, Aubrey.
Oh
Come here.
shit! Is it like seriously? Is Aubrey Wren really in California?
Yeah, he's in my backyard.
Aubrey, what's up, man?
What's up?
First Sergeant Aubrey Wren, Robert Hunt.
Did you plug in? Yep. Can you hear?
I can.
I can't hear you. Can you hear him?
I can hear him.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
What's going on?
I see.
Aubrey, what the freak are you doing in California?
Final physical, picking up the DD-214.
Okay. Good
Hell
to go.
yeah.
Good to go.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on chicken
congratulations.
fingers.
Yeah,
Where are my chicken fingers?
I'm kicking it.
Hey,
I like that shirt he's got on.
Earl's not going to make you pick up the dog crap in his backyard, is he?
Nope.
Well, hey, I gotta get some sleep, man. I gotta get up early. I got
yeah,
big
it's
news,
late as
but
heck over
I'm
there.
not gonna. Robert, I got some big news that I want to share with you and you guys too, but I can't. We gotta wait one more day. It's something going on in June that I'm gonna be doing, and I'll be over in California June 1st. I'll just tell you
June
that.
1st of next year.
June 1st of next year. I'll be
Sweet.
there for about 30 days.
Where in California?
Monterey.
Oh, that's like way up north.
Well, okay, all right, fine. I'll let the cat out of the bag.
Okay.
Grant Rogers, he's a VFW guy in Louisiana. He asked me to be on a 4-man rowing team of doing the Talisker Whiskey Challenge from Monterey, California to Hawaii. 2,800 miles, and we have to row it.
Do you know how to row?
I did for 6 years. I'm a rowing champion in Florida and a rowing champion in Massachusetts. Yes, I do know how to row.
I row my PFT now.
Okay. Well, tomorrow I got to get up early. I got to get up on the erg because, dude, I'm 265 pounds. I got to lose like a shit ton of weight
Like
before.
60?
Yeah, I got to lose like 60 pounds.
You gotta lose a half a grunt.
Half a grunt.
I know it's. I gotta watch what I eat. I gotta sleep at 8:30, 9:30 at night. Get 8 hours. I gotta work out like twice a day. It's gonna be rough, and I'm
How
not
the hell
looking
are you
forward
gonna
to it.
Row
And
all the way to Hawaii.
they made me the quartermaster for this thing. So now I have to get the compasses. I have to get the sat phone. I have to get the food for 28 days, which, by the way, is going to probably be MREs. That's all. Country Captain Chicken for 30 days. That's what we're going to do. I love Country Captain Chicken.
That sounds delicious.
It's amazing. I know you had T-Rats, Sergeant Major.
Yes, we did, and it's disgusting.
It is.
What's up, Sydney? I see that she commented. So that was one of the first sergeants with Aubrey over at 7th ESB when I was a sergeant major.
Okay.
She
Sydney.
is Sydney Rose.
Earl is a badass rowing his PFT. Nice.
I don't know if she's talking shit right now.
She probably. I think she's talking
I think
shit.
she is. She probably is.
Probably.
So what do you do? What do you have to do? 2,000 meters on the erg?
5,000.
5,000?
5,000. To get 100 points, you have to do it in 1915.
That's pretty. Hey, so you got to keep your splits at what? 2 minutes, 15 seconds?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Semperfi has a program you can reach out that will probably give you stuff for your rowing. I thank you, Sydney. I will definitely. I'm going to need all the help I need, and we need to raise $25,000 per rower for this event.
Per rower?
Yeah, so it's $100,000 to do this thing.
So you could do what Justin's doing right now. Walk from Boston to Oregon.
Yeah.
You can lose weight while
It's
you're doing
funny.
it.
I was going to mention this earlier, but we talked about Justin because Colonel Sinclair loves that guy. Like he said nothing but good stuff about Mr. Leahy. And I Facebook messaged him while we were talking, and I sent him a picture of me and Colonel Sinclair. Did you contact? No, not yet. No, not yet, Sydney. I gotta wait. Wait till tomorrow. So I'm kind of let the cat out of the bag, but
Andrew can't keep secrets.
I can't.
Sydney, you better come to my office tomorrow.
Oh shit, and parade rest too. But hey, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Sydney. Again, give it a try. Thank you guys for coming. Fleek, do you have any parting words or saved
No,
rounds?
man, I just want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your stories, man. That was pretty awesome.
Robert, you made me tear up. Thank you.
Yeah, your story's great.
I really appreciate you, and I love you like a brother, man. And Sergeant Major, I'm getting to know you, so I don't love you yet, but I like
That's
you a lot.
okay. That's okay. That is okay. We have the same hairstyle.
We
It's all
do.
good.
I gotta shave it. I gotta shave it tomorrow because it's getting a little long.
All we got to do is I need to meet all of you in person.
You need to
Oh,
come
yeah.
to Tennessee.
Hey, anytime you want to come to Tennessee, let us know. And
Where in Tennessee are you at, Richard and Chaps?
Middle
Chaps,
Tennessee.
we're in Middle Tennessee, and
Just
Robert
south
is
of
in
Nashville.
yeah, and Robert's in West Tennessee,
How
near
far
the
away is that?
Arkansas Tennessee border.
we're only 3 hours apart from each other.
Yeah,
Only 3 hours.
I know, but it's that actually
it's like-
drive. That drive sucks. I hate driving out to Memphis. I'm sorry. I love Memphis, but I hate the drive to Memphis.
See, to me, it doesn't. Tennessee's just a horizontal California.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh.
You got Fort Campbell right over here. You got Chattanooga. You got Knoxville. You got Memphis. You got Nashville, which Nashville's like Sodom and Gomorrah. You should have seen it today. Colonel Sinclair was like, "This place, is this like this all this time?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. Every night it's
Pretty
like
crazy.
this. Fucking pandemonium every night."
Yes.
So, growing up in California, I had to drive 3 hours to LA or
where did you live in California?
Right outside. Well, now it is Vandenberg Space Force Base. It was Vandenberg Air Force Base.
That's Central California.
Yeah, just north of Santa Barbara.
Sergeant Major has some pithy little comeback about Santa Barbara, right?
No, Santa Barbara. It's a Central California. So there's 3 states within California: Northern, Central, and Southern.
Yes,
dead serious. Like it's like 3 different places within one state.
It's Democrat, Independent, Republican, or Republican.
All Democrats.
It's like
it's all Democrats.
It's Democrat, but then you have pockets of resistance. So where I live in Fallbrook is probably the most conservative of North County. And if you ever been to Camp Pendleton, you would understand why.
Now 29 Palms. Never went to Pendleton. I don't know what it's like.
29 Palms is a conservative area also.
It's a hellhole. That's what it is.
But we also don't count 29 Palms as California.
Really?
Oh, hell no. I don't.
Be ready for the shock and awe. Mark, you're going to have to. Yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. He's doing some music stuff in Tennessee or something. And I'll be on the Purple Heart Cruise, which, by the way, you guys can go on cruises, the Purple Heart Cruise. They're going to be taking applications. And I'm going to put this out. 29 Palms is the devil's ass. Yes, Cindy, you are correct on that one. It is the devil's ass. But no, the Purple Heart Cruise, I'll give you guys all the stuff for it. But they pay for your cruise. I'm going to Bonaire, Aruba, and Dominican Republic, 8 days, 7 nights. It's all paid for. I've got 3 other guys in 3-8 coming with me on the cruise. There's like 20 of us, and it's all paid for. And it's all free, and it's awesome. I hear it's awesome. So when you get done, Sergeant Major, in 3 years, you probably can do it. Robert, I'm definitely going to give you that information so you can go on a vacation. You can bring the kids.
Do I have to?
Yeah, you don't have to, but you can if you want. But yeah, I love you guys, and I don't know, Fleek, take us out, man.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, next Sunday.
Earl, bud, take care. Robert,
see you, Robert. See you, Sergeant Major. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Yes.